All right. So my name is Hans Lindetorp. I am from Stockholm, Sweden, and I am a PhD. I have a PhD in sound and music computing, and I'm a lecturer and researcher at the Royal College of Music in Stockholm. So my background is music, but then I had a PhD in technology. So those are my two biggest passions in life. This is me playing piano with my wife, conducting the choir that we lead together. So this is my life when I'm not programming or teaching. We also have three children, and this is our oldest son. And as you can see, he uses a wheelchair. That is because he got something called spinal muscular atrophy, which makes it impossible for him to walk. So he's really, really weak in his muscles. So just inclusivity, accessibility, and those questions have been super sort of natural for us as a family. So we brought him onto the stage from when he was really little, and we've been singing and playing and dancing even together, and him in a wheelchair, and we're doing it our way. So I think that has shaped me a little bit when it comes to my perspective on music and technology as well. So just as a background before we enter my topic. So I will start by talking a little bit of values, and thank you to all the presenters before me. It's obvious that we share a lot of values together. I will tell you about my experiences through my PhD. So I defended my thesis last year in June, and I did it half time. So I spent like 8 years doing my PhD in combination with my teaching. So I've had a lot of time to think, but also to develop stuff. So I will show you things that I've been developing and thoughts that I came across. So I will show you some demos, and the links that I posted in the chat will take you there as well. So if you want to return, everything is actually possible for you to try on any computer or tablet or smartphone that you have close to you. And I will finish my talk by talking a little bit about inclusive technologies and what I come to learn about important foundations for making that good, to make a good ecological sort of platform where a lot of really good activities could happen. Because I think we've been fighting some quite big challenges in the past, and we've heard about some of them. I think actually I don't want to discuss that right now. Maybe we can do that after my talk. But just the relationship to other groups, like we were talking about the therapists, for example, can partly be a result of our technology being honestly quite complicated every now and then to install, calibrate, and use in your daily practice. So maybe a few things of what I'm going to tell you might be an input into that question and discussion. So let's talk about values and music for all. So I went to this concert. This is actually my cousin, one of my favorite cousins, playing the big organ in the concert hall in Stockholm, and the just experience that was amazing. But this is definitely not music for all. This is music for some, very few actually, and it was played by just one single person. And I think it is important to just remember that music is fundamentally something that we do collaboratively and that we do together. And we've been using music for thousands and thousands of years when we've celebrating parties, we have our religious rites, and just having fun together with and through music in various ways. And I think that that is so fundamental to music. So we really need to remember that and not make it to whatever sort of limited to one person or individualistic or commercial, whatever could contrast that, the communal aspect of music. I want to talk about technology in general first, for all. And let's just remember that technology from the beginning has been quite complicated and required quite a lot of money to be able to use it and a lot of skills to be able to operate it. But today we have technology all over the world and all around us. I think I read some statistics about 70% of the world's population now have accessibility to a smartphone, for example. So a lot of my projects have been dealing with stuff that we can do using smartphones. So let's look at music technology for all as well. And I want to give you a few examples. And now this is a short teaser for a few of my projects. And this is about what we can do with smartphones, building instruments using their sensors. And if you don't hear the sound, please just let me know. Sorry. Didn't get that, did we? Should press somewhere. Oh, I need to go there. Okay. So what I wanted to show with this video was just how expressive a normal smartphone can be now. And I will finish this talk by talking a little bit about the technology I'm using. So it's also very, very easy to develop such instruments for the smartphone. I also want to talk about music technology for collaboration. So when we want to play together. And I've been part of a project called Funky, and they are now a company making accessible musical instruments that you can buy and use. And I was a part of their prototype phase. And we were doing some really interesting experiments when those instruments could be connected together in a system, and the system could control the musical content of the instruments. And this made it possible for us to use the instruments with people with various impairments, like cognitive and physical impairments, and they could still play music with professional musicians doing their thing. So they were playing like a standard song with different chords and melodies and stuff, and the instrument could be remote controlled to accommodate the different musical scales and harmonies and stuff. So the children playing the instrument could join in without knowing anything about musical scales and keys and stuff like that. And we did that by building. This is a page. Building a server instrument in the middle on a computer that was connected to all the funky instruments that you can see to the left. So the instruments were of different kinds. There were one with 2 buttons that they could press, or one with just touch sensors where the children could put their hands on either or both of the touch sensors. One instrument with 2 sliders, and they're marked with red and yellow to represent 2 different sounds on each instrument. And then the server in the middle could control the content of the instrument. So, for example, we had a very, very simple interface that the assistants of the children could press the spacebar on the computer's keyboard, and that changed the chord to the next chord in a progression. And that required us to compose the music into pieces. So this is actually the piece that we were playing on those instruments. And you can see like 4 chunks vertically, and these are the 4 chords. So E major, C sharp minor, F sharp minor, and B11. And in each of these sections of the music that could be changed by the assistant pressing the spacebar, in each of these sections, there were different tonal content sent to the funky instruments. So, for example, the strings could play either a low E or a high E when the chord was in E. And then when the assistant pressed the spacebar, the notes were changed to 2 different Bs. And as you can see, the notes were low when the kids played on the red button, and they were high when they pressed the yellow button. So that was the choice they could make. And we had one interesting instrument here with the buttons, actually choosing between five different notes played in a sequence. So if they played the red button, it was playing do 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 one at a time when pressing the key, and the yellow button played through the do 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 in the higher range. And then when the assistant hit the spacebar, all the instruments moved one step to the right, which means that the kids could just continue playing on their two buttons or touch areas or sliders, and without having to think about the different chords. But still, the professional musician that was playing together with the children could play his songs, in this case, on an accordion. So that was a lot of fun, and we have a study that covers this, the result that we learned through this study. And one of the links, the first link I put in the chat, take you to my webpage, which is called waxml.org, and you will find all my publications there. So let's just think a little bit about what I've learned when building those instruments, not necessarily only for people with different impairments, but building system and instruments for everyone. And I think what we should do, or at least I learned that that's super, super useful, is to build instrument that uses like everyone's technology or everyday's technology, like stuff that people have, like a smartphone. As I said, 70% of the population in the world has got a smartphone. And if we build for a smartphone, then pretty much everyone can use what we're building. So I found that really, really useful. It's also very, very good to use accessible technology in itself. And for me, that is web technology. So I don't know if you know it, but web technology now has a very, very powerful audio application. Like everything you heard here is built with the web audio technology. So that means that just sharing a URL, the second URL you got in the chat, takes you to a web page with several different instruments that you can try on any smartphone or computer without installing anything. So it's basically just a web page to make it super, super easy to share and also to test. So we can even send a link to grandma and we can ask what she thinks about the instrument without having her to install anything. I also think it is important to do stuff open source. We heard a presentation mentioning open source before, which I think is good because that invites many contributors to building things. So that would be important as well, rather than doing closed things that just is owned by like a few companies. And finally, I think it's super important, and this is where my own thesis landed, that we need to shape standards and formats so different projects can share resources and that we can share knowledge between different projects. So for example, my research started off in actually game music, how to implement and compose game music. What I realized during my research years, the PhD years, was that the technology can be the same if we build instruments and if we build music, game music implementation systems. So I have proposed a format for doing those things using XML that we'll finish talking a little bit about. I call it WaxML, and the webpage, if you're interested, is waxml.org. And it's made to make web audio easy for people to build and implement. And I often describe it as HTML for audio and music. So the idea is that it is as simple as building a web page when you want to build an audio application or a music application. So this is an example of one of the instruments. I actually forgot to show. I want to show you two instruments. So this is one of them. It's controlled by the left hand. So this is reading my left hand movement, and that is connected through these few lines of code to control the frequency of an oscillator. So this lower part is a synthesizer, and this upper part is the mapping from my hand to the synthesizer. So let's play it. So it looks for my hand. And if I turn the hand, it gets quiet again. This took me half an hour to build, so it's super easy. It's using media pipe to read my hand and find the different joints, and then I just map it to control the pitch. Of the synthesizer. And other things I learned is that it's very important to auto-calibrate, so we don't need to rely on someone sitting on a specific distance, but it should be easy to be anywhere or have different, abilities to move the hand and still use the instrument. I think I have one more instrument here. This is built for people that can just move the head. My research is done by getting ideas, often together with my students. We're thinking about how to construct that in WebAudio XML. And then I test it with my students or with different people using the technology, and I write my articles. And there are quite a few now, around 25, I think, if you're interested in reading my research result. So I have papers about the language itself, WebAudio XML, WAXML, dealing with different challenges when it comes to building instruments and implement music in interactive applications. And I have papers covering building different applications like those musical instruments with the technology. And with that, I want to say thank you so much. And if you have questions, I'm happy to try to answer that. And the links that you see here is posted in the chat as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Hans. Hans.
It's actually, the Swedish pronunciation is Hans. It's Hans. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
For us Italians, you are Hans.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
You tend to drop the H.
Okay, some questions?
I just would like to thank you, Hans, because well, I've been scouting about you and what you did before, of course, and I found the app with the hands, but I didn't go in deep with all your research, but I found it very useful and important because this semester I've been teaching music education throughout technology. So I've tried, to show to my students all possibility, application and technology. Of course, the first things, as you said, is mobile phone. I've been experiencing a lot of different kind of problems when try to, have the computer and working with for everybody, because sometimes there are problems with the Wi-Fi or other different.
Exactly.
But
yes.
Everybody has the mobile phone, and when use it's very easy. So I've tried your app and I'm going to use it for sure, and I'm sure we will have a lot of fun, and this is very nice to show them.
That's exciting to hear. Thank you. Please let me know how it works out. And can I just take 1 minute and show you? You might be interested in, and others as well. So I am using those examples are built with a platform called P5JS, and I think that's brilliant as well, because if I press this little code button up here, we actually get into the editor. So these are all the documents included in this application. And the one that is called audio.xml, that is the document format that I was talking about with the language that I came up with called WebAudio XML. So this is where we specify the variable that is mapping in this case, the Y position of
Hans, you're not sharing anymore.
Thank you, Kjetil.
I thought you were, talking about.
Sorry. Back here again. So we were anyway, when we had the instrument, if can show that again so it's clear for all of you. Share full screen. So we have the instrument here running. It's built with P5.js. And in P5.js, we have this button up here. So I just press that button. That takes us straight into the editor. So the application is actually not built with a local program. It's built online, which means that you can, if you want to work with your students, you can just duplicate. So if everyone that has an account with P5.js can just duplicate the whole project and make changes to the code here. So I used a major scale when I was playing with my hand. If I want to change it to a minor scale, it's just to change the number here. So it's all MIDI notes if you're into MIDI specification. You can do anything with the code here, and that will work immediately. So it's just to hit save and play, and now it is minor.
Thank you.
So I found that super helpful actually to use P5.js when we work with the learning activities and work with students, because it saves so much time.
If I can,
Yes.
if there's still time for another question.
Yes, yes. 3
Okay.
minutes.
Thank you, Hans, for your presentation. Of course, there's some a meeting between our values. Yeah. And my question is like for my whole life, I've been like a consumer of open source technologies, not a producer, a part of my work that you can see. And what I miss is like maybe the instruments, like the organizational instrument, my knowledge about the organizational instruments for having these tools having an impact on the general population. And of course, there's beauty in the chaos, but I don't know how like the open source community actually organizes to have to make like something big project and for knowledge sharing. And of course, if there is like if you are aware of any interest group about open source music accessibility, I will be like very interested if you can share me.
Yeah, I think it. So I've joined the web audio community, and I think that is a good place. It's not targeted toward accessibility, a particular, but I think, as I said in my presentation, I think it's everything connects really well, and the whole web audio community is extremely like open source and diversity and inclusivity oriented in its values. So I think that would be a place to go. And maybe you and I and more people can help the kind of accessible musical instrument to kind of grow that as an interest in that community as well, because it's quite a big and really good community for web audio in general. So that could be one place. I'm sure there could be lots done to this whole topic you're talking about, like sharing knowledge and instruments and stuff like that. But that could be a good place to just share ideas. So I'm right now proposing WebAudio XML as a document format concept and invite people to discuss that. So hopefully it's not just me coming up with ideas, but we can become a team where we can helping each other to come up with document formats or ways to implement, and that could encourage the whole environment for us as developers to do things, and that could hopefully contribute to better instruments and more good stuff coming out of it. But let's stay in contact and share whatever we find.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the network should. This is the aim of the network. So,
Yeah, exactly. So it's
keep in
should
contact and
connect, yeah.
go on with the research. So we will find a way somehow.
Fantastic.
Okay.
I also want to say thank you for the opportunity to tell about my project. So please feel free to contact me anytime if you're
Thank
interested
you for
in collaboration.
participating, Hans. Okay.
Sorry for my first name.
Sorry for our, we are Italian, we are late, and we have some difficulties.
It's great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.